I'm gonna record. Okay, so here's where I'm at right now, and I haven't done all of it. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's okay, because I'm just gonna show you where it's gonna go. I have all of my shapes, and what I want to do now is make sure, and you'll see that these lines kind of cross and they overlap, especially because I have this no fill here. Um, is anyone else have, is this what you're talking about too, Trinity, with that?
Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about because I have like all of these lines overlapping.
Anyone else have an issue like that? It's great. That's like what the point of Illustrator is. So this is not an issue. This is actually like gonna make your life easier when collaging. So you're doing it right. You're doing it right. What we're gonna do today is make sure that all of these shapes are layered on top of each other in the way that we would think about it in a 3D space. So I've got this one here first that I am going to work with. Okay. And what I'm going to do, Campbell, last week you talked about like compound pads or groups. Like, when do you do that? When you have multiple shapes, like right now I've got these two cushions, this bottom cushion, this leg, this arm, and all these dots. These are all separate shapes, but they're all part of the same thing that I'm working on. In this case, they're all part of the same sofa. This is an example of where grouping is going to be really helpful. So if you were to take the general select with V, select and drag and hover all of those, once you take that, you can right click and say group. And so this is different from the compound pads where if I were to, let's say, fill them all with the same gradient, like you're gonna get that. They're not all gonna be one continuous thing. But what it does allow you to do is now this is one solid piece of stuff, and I don't have to worry about, for example, like this leg or this circle getting in the way of it. So this is one piece of furniture, so that's going to be one group. This frame is one object in my living room, so I'm going to hover over that, and I'm going to group that as well. Same thing with this AC unit. These lines, they all cross, and I'm going to make it so that that is one group. These two can also be a group. And then this chair, same thing. I'm going to make that a group. So now when I'm dragging these things around, I'm dragging them all as a collection of lines and not just like one line for the cushion or one line for the frame. And then once you do that, now I'm gonna what's called isolate this group. So you can isolate a group by double clicking it. So right now I'm double clicking it, and you'll see what happens is this one is at the same transparency at 100%, and then everything else in the background is gonna fade into the background. And if I try to touch these frames or this square or this chair, it won't let me because right now I'm isolated in this group. And you can tell you're isolated because here you'll get this little tab, this little bar that says right now you're originally here in this like general layer, and now you're in this group, this sofa group. And if I click out, if I double click away, then I can go back to the regular board and I can play with the other things. But I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna isolate this group because I want to now play with this sofa. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring up my swatches tab. And here in swatches, we have a set of general colors. I'm gonna make it a large thumbnail so you can see the colors. These are all pretty standard. They're maybe not the most exciting colors, but when I'm just laying out shapes in Illustrator, I use this just to like get my bearings. And what I want to do is start filling these objects, the ones that are like that have the similar color, to have the same color, so I know that they are all part of the same piece of furniture. So with the sofa, I've got an orange sofa that's got all these cushions and the base, and then down here, this leg is like a yellow brown. So I'll start with that leg because that's the easy one. And if I select it, and if I make sure that this fill is on top, notice not like this, where the stroke is on top. You gotta make sure you click on this fill. Once you do that, then you can go to your swatches and then give it a fill. And so I'm just gonna give it this yellow. Again, it's not the most interesting yellow, but that's fine for what we're doing right now. All right, and that's good. And you'll notice that once I fill it, this is going on top of this shape. And in my original photo, this leg in perspective is behind this shape. So what I want to do is send this to the back of the layers. So I can go into layers here. Right now, my layers aren't showing up because I'm isolated. I'm isolated in this group, but you can see it here. Right now, it's at the very, very top of my layers. So one way you can do this, you can click this and you can drag it and bring it to the bottom. Try that again. It does not want to play nice. Okay, there you go. You can bring it to the bottom. You need to bring it down far enough so that it is underneath whatever line is on top of it. So that's one way to do that, but you'll notice that that's very, very clunky. A command shortcut that you're gonna use a lot, especially when playing with layers, I'm gonna type it out here so you can see it, is command plus that key. It's like the square bracket to the right. And then the other one is the square bracket to the left. So this one that goes to the right, this is send up in layer. And this is send down in layer. So today we're just gonna get used to using these two commands to set these different shapes in the group down in the layer or up in the layer. So this one, I gotta make sure it goes all the way down. Let's imagine that it was back at the top here. If I hit command open bracket, which is that left bracket here, you'll see in the layers, it's going down one layer at a time. And now it's at the very bottom, and that's exactly where it needs to be. And now with these other shapes, I can go one at a time, give it a fill. I'm gonna give it this orange fill. And again, make sure that it is behind whatever shapes it needs to be. So in this one, this is also my base, so this is also pretty far back. It should look something like that. All right, where I've got these two cushions above it, this armrest also above it, but this base is still above the leg. And we're gonna do the same thing with these cushions. I'm gonna take it, give it this fill, take this one, give it this fill. And in my original photo, I wish I could show you it quickly. Let me see. Yeah, so in my original photo, right, this cushion appears on top and this one is behind. So I gotta make sure that this one here goes above it, like so, but that this one is above both of them. It's actually not quite above both of them. It's more like beneath this and above that. All right, and that's looking good. And now that we're in this one group, sometimes you might find another set of paths that really should be together. Like all of these circles, I could treat them all as like one unit. So even within a group, you can make another group. So I can hover this, just get the circles, and then hit Command G or right click group. So now this acts the same way that other groups do, where they're all one group. And if you have multiple things selected and you know they're all the same color, one thing you can do is also select them, go to the eyedropper, and then eyedropper to grab whatever color it is you want them to be. I actually might make them a little darker though, just so, just so they look a little different from the regular orange that we're working with. And then this last one here, it should be set the right way. I'm gonna click it, I'm gonna highlight it, and eyedropper it. And there we go. So now I've got this group of my sofa shapes. They're all together and they're all colored, and the lines are all where they need to be, where like this cushion goes above it, but it is above this, and is all above this base and this leg. And so today what we're going to be doing is grouping all of your like-minded pieces of furniture or things in your apartment or home and filling them with colors so you can make sure that all these lines are layered the right way. Any questions about what this is going to be like today?
How did the isolation thing play into that?
Oh, like why do we use it or how do you use it?
Both.
Okay, so yeah. So we use isolation when you have a group of objects and you only want to focus on, or a group of shapes and you only want to focus on those shapes. So like I'm going to go one part at a time. I'm going to focus on this sofa first. I'm not interested in this chair. I'm not interested in this. So if you double click it, you isolate it, and now you're only working on the shapes in this sofa. You're not concerned with that. In fact, you can't even click them. It's just a way to like go one group at a time, and to not get too like distracted from this to this and this.
And then you just double click to get out of that?
Mm-hmm. You can double click to get out. Yeah. Other questions on this like process of layering and grouping? All right, cool. So yeah, we're gonna work on this today, and then tomorrow I'll tell you how we're gonna wrap it up. And so I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna let you all out into Illustrator land, and I am gonna do a one-on-one check-in with the next person in the row.